What happened?
Of course, njagala kutwala mukisa guno okwebaza Kooti, okwebaza Supreme Court n'abalamuzi omunaana abakitegedde nti tuli bawejjere ne bakola ensala ennungi ey'okubeera nga tetugenda kuddira omuntu ali mu buyinza ate tumusasule ku ekyo kye tubadde tumuvunaana nti yatubba obuwagizi bwaffe. Olunaku olwaleero tubadde tuzze nga tuzze okuwuliriza ensala oluvannyuma lw'okubeera nga obusobozi obutwala omusango mu maaso nga munnange ebibiina by'obufuzi ebisinga obungi ebigamba nti bivuganya gavumenti twateesa nabyo nga sinaba kuleeta musango mu Kooti ne bikkiriza nti bigenda kunneegattako. Bwe namala okukola ebyange byensobola nga ntaddemu na buli kimu ne bateesuulirayo gwa naggamba ne sibalabako. Nagenze kulaba abalala nga bali mu kusala bava ate eno gye tulwanyisa mwami Museven bali ate kugenda kukola naye. So ne tugamba kanjijeyo omusango tugende ku pulaani B. Era njagala kutegeeza eggwanga nti nze nga Kasibante ne National Peasant Party tebinnaggwa. Ekyawano kiganye wiiki ejja ku lunaku olw'Emmande oba ku lunaku olw'okubiri ngenda kubeera ne press conference okulangirira kiki ekiddako. So nja kusaba bannayuganda mwenna okutwegattako tutambulire wamu. Nammwe mwenna abatambula nga mugamba bannayuganda nti ddala General Museven mukoye mu buyinza temukyogera bwogezi mu bigambo wabula mukiteeke mu bikolwa nga naffe bwe mulaba tugezezzaako okukiteekwa mu bikolwa ne tulemererwa ku sayidi eno ne pulaani endala ze tuleeta tusuubira nti zigenda kusobola okutuyambako okulaba nga General Museven tumuggyako obuwanguzi bwaffe.
Kooti tugisanyugidde ffe ng'ekibiina kya NRM ekyawangula akalulu kano nga kandidati waffe ow'ekitiibwa Yoweri Tibuhaburwa Kaguta Museven nga yayawangula n'obutundutundu 71 n'obutundutundu 65 ku buli 100 nga bwe twateeka empoza yaffe mu Kooti era nga bwe twababuulira mwenna ennaku ezo zonna twabagamba nti ayawaaba omusango guno teyalina bujulizi na bumu era ne mu Uganda monna ne bw'ogitambula temuli bujulizi na bumu tolina kyojja okusanga nti oba akalulu bakabba nti oba bakakumpanya mu ngeri yonna obwo obujulizi tebuliiwo wabula ayawaaba yali ayagala nti ye bamukkirize akole audit oba okukebera mu bintu byonna ebyaliwo oba oli awo anaafuna ekintu kyonna kyaneesibako kyaneekwasa okuwoza omusango naye ate nga si bwe batyo si bwe bawoza misango bwe batyo osooka n'ofuna obujulizi n'ogamba kituufu bankoze bubi wano bampiziza bubi kanteekeyo omusango. So ekyo Kooti ekiziganya naffe newankubadde nti omusango gugibwayo bakkiriza nti omusango gugibwayo wabula ekirala baganye okutuddiza ssente zetusaasanyiza mu musango guno kubanga ssente ziba nyingi ng'oli akuleese mu kooti n'akuteekaawo walina ennaku 3 ogenda mu Uganda yonna n'oddamu omusango ogwo ate n'aguddukamu kugamba naye nga bwe bibeera tukkiriziganya n'ensala ya kooti ku ekyo nakyo tetulina buzibu nakyo era tujja kukigondera tuli basanyufu nnyo era tukubiriza abantu baffe mwenna kati kooti erangiridde nti mu butuufu omukulembeze Yoweri Kaguta Museven yalondebwa bulungi ate nga mu butuufu ate ye president wa Uganda addako. Tweyanza.
And presidential election application number 1 of 2026 are hereby dismissed on account of withdrawal. Following the withdrawal of presidential election petition number 1 of 2026, and there being in existence no valid legal challenge of the results of the presidential election held on 15th of January 2026, we, by the unanimous decision of the court, made in accordance with Section 61, Subsection 4 of the Presidential Elections Act, Cap 179, hereby declare and confirm that the first respondent, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, being the candidate earlier declared by the second respondent, the Electoral Commission, as the winner of the presidential elections, is hereby duly elected President of Uganda. By majority decision, Madrama, Justice of the Supreme Court dissenting, each party shall bear its costs of the petition and the application arising therefrom, including the current application. It is so ordered.
Between the branches of government and ensure predictability in the law, I will depart from the 2021 decision pursuant to Article 132, Clause 4 of the Constitution. I will order that the costs prescribed by the statute be taxed and paid by the petitioner to the respondents. The respondents possess the power to waive their entitlement to costs if they so wish, but the court should not exercise that power for them in disregard of the law. I reiterate my opinion of the question of costs is in the minority, and I accordingly abide by the decision of the majority. Thank you.
Okay, so this is the disposition by the unanimous decision of the court.
While making the decision to institute the petition or not, the decision to institute and prosecute a presidential election petition is a very, very serious matter and ought to be treated as such, because a presidential election petition is not an ordinary litigation. It relates to the highest office in this land. The constituency of the presidency is the whole country, which had over 50,000 polling stations in the just concluded elections. Gathering evidence from such a constituency, evaluating that evidence by the lawyers, and eventually presenting it to court within the prescribed 15 days has serious logistical and organizational implications. All these were foreseeable if the petitioner and his advisors had put more serious thought about the decision they were making and its practical. For permission to withdraw presidential election petition number 1 of 2026 and presidential election application number 1 of 2026.
he further requests this court not to condemn him in the course occasioned by the withdrawal. The respondents do not oppose the application for withdrawal. However, the first and second respondents have requested court to order Mr. Kasivante, the applicant, to reverse the course they have already incurred in defending themselves against the claims which they state are without merit. How did we get here? So this is the background. The applicant contested in the just concluded presidential election, along with the first respondent, His Excellency Yoweri Museven, and 6 others. On the 17th January 2026, the Electoral Commission declared Yoweri Museven the winner of the election, having obtained 71.6% of the votes, 71.6% of the vote cast. On the following day, that is on the 18th January 2026, the applicant lodged presidential election petition number 1 of 2026, challenging the election results on the grounds that the election did not comply with the provisions and principles of the presidential electoral laws. On the same day, the applicant filed presidential election application number 1 of 2026 for discovery and inspection of the documents used in the presidential election, both electronic and in hard form. The applicant also sought an order of the court permitting him to carry out a forensic audit of every facet of the electoral process. The respondents denied the allegations in the petition, contending that the applicant's grievances were merely speculative and lacked supporting evidence. According to the respondents, the election reflected the genuine outcome of the will of the people and expressed the will of the electorate. The respondents also opposed the application for discovery on the ground that it was simply a fishing expedition on the part of the applicant, and that the orders sought were impractical to execute within the limited time frames for hearing and concluding a presidential election petition. Lastly, the respondents argued that granting the applicant access to the back-end data exposed the system to hacking, malware, and viral attacks and posed a national security threat. The court had the arguments.
The level playing field doctrine demands strictness. If a petitioner is allowed to bypass financial consequences while the respondent is held to a cast-in-stone timeline,
what happened?